the night before I had Saajan, so I had a planned C-section because of what had happened the first time with the failed induction.
Yeah.
Breatham and I sat on the floor and I said to him, I said, I think something bad's going to happen tomorrow. And he looked at me and he said, so do I. I can't describe it. There was just this weird feeling. We both had it. I went to bed, it was midnight, went to bed. I was like, yeah, let me have a nice night's sleep and we'll go to the hospital in the morning. And I woke up an hour later, I was contracting. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know if this is normal because I've not had it. I've only gone from 0 to 100 with the induction. And so I phoned the hospital and they were like, look, just come in because you're booked for a C-section. Let's just come in to triage. So I was like, okay, I've only had an hour's sleep, but let's go. So we went and we got there and all the midwives knew me by this time because I was in the hospital so much and they're so lovely. And two of my favourites, Danielle and Manjit, were there and they said, oh, Harps, it was so quiet in triage. And it was all really exciting. They're like, oh my gosh, let's get you connected and let's see how you're doing. And they're like, yep, it's all started. And they were like, what do you want to do? And I said, well, if I am dilated, then I'd quite like to try naturally because there was a part of me that wanted to experience that, right? And yeah. And then they were like, okay, fine, let's go and let's check you. Let's see how dilated you are. And then we can make a judgment call. Anyway, checked me and they were like, you're half a centimetre. Like it's not happening again. It's not working. Yeah. And I was just like, I can't do this again. Like I can't go through that whole thing again. They were like, right, Danielle said, I'm putting my scrubs on. I'm coming down. I'm coming into theatre with you. And I was like, oh my God. I started writing my birth story in the notes in my phone. How, I was just so excited. I was like, this is working out so well. Yeah. And I was like, God is with me and this is all turning out amazingly. And Danielle's coming with me and I'm so excited and da-da-da-da-da. It was the beginning of a very beautiful ending in my eyes.
Yeah.
And I got down and there ended up being an emergency C-section and we didn't know how long it was going to be. It ended up being Danielle needed to take her son to a dentist appointment or something like that. So she was like, I've got to go, but don't worry, you'll be fine. I was like, okay, yeah, it will all be good. I'm good. Like, I'm fine. They took Saji out. They handed him. I don't remember what they did with him. I think they held him for a few minutes. And then they gave him to me. And I remember just feeling this overpowering feeling of love and joy and everything that I had imagined that I would feel as a first-time mum. I finally felt it now.
Yeah.
And then Breatham said, I miss Arj. And I was like, what? Like, I got really annoyed with him. I was like,
yeah.
We're going to see him soon. Like, focus on this baby. Like, we've just had another little boy and he was just a bit off. And I just thought, oh, whatever, I'm just going to kind of bask in my own excitement and enjoyment and pleasure.
Yeah.
And then we went into the recovery room and they took Saajan away for a little bit. I didn't think anything of it because I didn't know that wasn't normal because I was knocked out the first time. I didn't know what was and what wasn't normal.
Did they not tell you why they were taking him out?
No, they just took him. And then they came back and they handed him to me and I put him to my breast and he took to it like a duck to water. And I was just like, oh my God, he's properly breastfeeding and I'm doing it. I'm doing all of it. And I remember the two of the midwives looked at each other and they're like, oh, it's really good that he's breastfeeding. And I didn't know why they were saying it at the time. I just thought, oh yeah, look at me, like I'm doing it all. And I was a bit smug.
And also, I imagine at that point, that feeling of almost dread the night before that something bad was going to happen.
Yes.
And then at this point, everything is, there's that relief. It's all going swimmingly. Everything is going as well as it could be.
And it was perfect. And exactly that. I just felt I felt amazing. And Breatham was quite quiet. And I was feeling a bit irritated by his kind of offstandish, being quite offstandish. But I was just like, okay. And then he made a comment. He said, oh, he doesn't really look like me and Arj. And I was like, what is that supposed to mean? Like, what? He looks like me. So what? Like, what do you mean? I got really defensive because I couldn't understand his behavior. This is the guy that was made to be a father. And anyway, you know, they took us up to our own private room, and we were there and we were enjoying our new baby. And at about 7, my sisters bought Arj, and, you know, he'd bought this giraffe teddy, and he was just so besotted by his brother. He was just so in love. And I just thought, thank you, God, you've given me everything that I ever could have dreamt of. You know, I just felt amazing. And then Arj went out to see the grandparents. The grandparents hadn't met Saajan at this point. You're only allowed 2 people or whatever, right? So Breatham and my sister went to get me food. And while they were gone, the paediatrician came in and she said, is your husband here? And I said, oh, he's just gone to get food, you know, he's just gone to get food. And she was like, okay, I didn't think anything of it. I literally, now in hindsight, I think, what on earth, you know, how could you not have thought something? And she said, oh, could you call him back? So I phoned him and he literally ran back. So everybody else went out, my sisters went out the room, and she said, do you notice anything different about your baby? And before I'd even processed what she said, he said, he's got Down syndrome. And I just remember the room just spinning, like, what on earth is he saying? Like, what is he talking about? And she just turned around and she said, I'm so sorry. And he just broke down. And I remember I was just like, what is going on? How can you be telling me that, you know, no, this is not right. This is not right. There's something horribly wrong here. This is not right. And I remember just rocking back and forth saying, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Almost trying to convince myself. I couldn't process the words that were coming out. And I thought, how? How can he have Down syndrome? We had a 1 in 100,000 chance. We had over 13 scans. We had 6 different sonographers. We had tests done at Harley Street. How could this be true? How? And then Breatham called all the family in. And before they'd even got the chance to hold Saajan or to meet him, he just blurted out, he's got Down syndrome. You know, everybody reacted so differently. Naturally, his mum, seeing the state of him, she literally just broke down.
Yeah.
And then you had Arj in the middle of it all. And he's just looking at him and he's whispering, Mummy, he's so cute. Mummy, he's so cute. And I just felt so sorry for him because I thought, this is the happiest day of your life. Like, you don't care that he's got Down syndrome. To you, he is your baby brother. But around you, everybody's crying. Like, how confusing must that have been for him? And I just felt all these awful, awful feelings of guilt. You know, I had, at that time, I felt like, you know, I wanted to birth him a best friend, you know, a friend for life. And instead, at that time, you know, and I'm embarrassed to say it now, but I've always been very open and honest. I felt like I'd birthed a burden. I felt like, what have I done, you know? And I guess that was the start of our nightmare. You know, we gave birth on the 30th of December, and it was meant to be the start of an amazing 2017. It was meant to be, you know, the start of an amazing, you know, new journey as a family. And this isn't what my fairy tale was meant to look like, you know, when I was a child and I was imagining my life.